Hello everyone, it's me again after a lifetime. Oh my god, I'm sorry. But yeah, so I just wanted to give an update a little bit about myself, about this channel, as you have noticed probably if you're still around. Hi, by the way. And thank you for watching those low quality videos that I always produce. I'm super sorry. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly admire the people that work a full-time job and also put so much effort into their YouTube channels and whatever. Not me. Especially since I work in marketing, I think it's worse because I do sometimes have to edit videos, or I do have to do a lot of designs on Canva and Illustrator and everything. And so I feel like during the day, I just need to use the creative side of my brain, so I don't have any energy left for creative things outside, except for painting. I do like to paint. But yeah, so this video a little bit about, I don't know, where I am in life, where my recovery is at, and things like that. So welcome to my video about my quarter life crisis. So maybe you know I'm 25 years old now, and last summer I've finished my master's degree, which I don't use at all, but here we go, in business administration. And I kind of went into marketing without wanting to. I actually wanted to go into HR, but somehow I ended up in marketing at a startup, which now doesn't exist anymore because of financial problems, or better said, bankruptcy. Yeah. So I got fired because of that in December last year. So now it's about 10 months actually. Wow, time flies. And so a little bit less than a year ago, I got fired or laid off because of financial problems. Back then they weren't yet bankrupt. Is the right word bankrupt? I don't know. Anyway, then I had to look for a new job, obviously, and I looked for marketing again. And now I'm at a job where I'm super happy at. I have a really cool boss who teaches me about a lot of things in life, about self-confidence and just, yeah, setting boundaries and everything. And at the same time, I'm surrounded by a lot of men, by a lot of technical men, because I work in an IT company. And yeah, so it's kind of at the same time a little bit lighthearted, because I feel like men are just sometimes, I don't want to say they're not deep, but they do make a lot of jokes. But I love my women at work, and would love to have more women, but it is what it is. Anyway, and yeah, so I'm in cybersecurity and I market. So yeah, I think it's a quite cool combination. And yeah, so I now have a full-time job. I work 40 hours a week. I live more on the countryside of Switzerland, but not in the Alps, which is a very common, I think, misconception that people think when you live in Switzerland, you live in the Alps. But no, I live more on the flat side of Switzerland, but I do have a view onto mountains, so that's nice. And I work in Zurich, which is the biggest city in Switzerland. It's, I think, around 400,000 people in the city, or in and around the city, I don't even know. And Switzerland has a bit like 8.5 million people in the tiny country. So we actually have a lot of people for such a small space. So it's there's a lot of people in this tiny country, even though like half of the space cannot be used for living because it's Alps. But yeah, anyway, that I'm drifting into a random direction. But yeah, so since a year or a bit more than a year, I work full time, and now I live in this wonderful place. This is my own room, actually. I'm very privileged. I live in a part of a house, so in a apartment that is a bit too big for my boyfriend and me, but we're very happy. and we don't have to pay a lot of rent. So I actually have very low fixed costs, and I'm not a very spendy person. But here comes the tie to my whole recovery story. When I was in my eating disorder days, I was super, like a super saver. I hated spending money as much as I hated like consuming calories. My brain was so number focused. For example, I hated spending money. I hated consuming calories. I loved burning calories, of course. And also, a fun thing, I loved, or like I was obsessed with my overtime at work, which was very weird. But I hated when I had less than my minimum. I loved seeing kind of the overtime grow. I was super obsessed with adding like a few minutes each day to make it more. And I don't know, I really had a weird obsession with overtime, which I don't have anymore at all. But yeah, I was a very weird person during my ED days. And I feel like then once I was in ED recovery, I also really recovered from my other odd behaviors. And yeah, I kind of started to become very free spirited and just more chill, like generally much more chill person, like my name, chill. And yeah, and then since a year, I've started spending more money, but at the same time, I have such low fixed costs. Also, in my old apartment, we had quite low fixed costs. I think I paid like 900 francs per month for my apartment, and I think it's quite good or low for Switzerland. So yeah, me and my boyfriend were dinks, double income, no kids. So it's a little bit easier to save money, and also I'm not a very, how do I say, materialistic person. But as I said, like with ED recovery, I also started to become very, yeah, I just stopped being such an overthinker, which added a lot of value to my life. And I started spending a lot more money, and especially in the last year, since I had a big salary increase with switching my jobs. And yeah, so I just kind of was like, oh, whatever, let me just spend some money, I guess. And yeah, now kind of the last few months, or actually since the start of the year, I've started to focus a lot on my personal finances, because now I do have money, and what do I do with it? So I've started investing the money a little bit, and now with time investing it a bit more. So yeah, and now since about a month, I'm like, actually, it wouldn't be that hard to save a little bit more money by maybe not eating out that much and just being a little bit more chill on the finances, especially since I feel like I have too much stuff already anyway, so I can also just not spend a ton of money. And so I kind of was also like, I need a goal, because why should I save money if I don't have a specific goal to work towards? So the result of my quarterly life crisis is the FIRE movement, or at least it's my current hyper focus. And I just wanted to tell you about it because I think it's such a cool concept that literally I've never heard of before. I don't know if I'm just living in a weird bubble, but there's the FIRE movement, and it's called, or it's an acronym for Financial Independence, Retire Early, FIRE. And while I'm not planning to retire at 35 years old or whatever, it's kind of the financial independence part of it that makes me very enthusiastic. Because imagine being 40 years old and just not having to work again, but you can just choose to because you want to. But if you're kind of sick of your job, you could just retire. Or retire, or just take like a break or do whatever. and that gets me lit up. Like there's kind of a fire in me again where I'm like, oh my god, I do have a goal in life now again at 25. But before, I feel like I just had this hyper focus of studying and finishing my studies and then getting a job. That was like my goal. And now that that's done and I'm happy with those areas, like I really like my job, and also I'm done with studying for the moment. I just, yeah, I needed this new goal. So now it's this financial independence goal. And there's like different subcategories, which I found very, very funny. I think my favorite one is like the barista fire, which means that kind of your goal is to have financial independence. So you can just have like a fun part-time job that doesn't really have to pay much because you have your huge investments anyway. And so yeah, expect me to make some videos about those topics because I think it's also super cool. Like I love to watch my old videos just to see kind of my progress in my recovery. Yeah, just my progress in my recovery, because a few years ago I was still so insecure, I was so unhappy, and I had so many problems from physical, like the whole yeah, extreme hunger, sweating from all of the food but still being super hungry, then not being fit at all, being super energyless. And now I feel like all of those things have cleared up, and I'm just super lucky in that I actually have taken it super seriously, the recovery, and have put everything into it so that I'm now super happy and just super well off. That I need kind of a new hyper focus. And yeah, I feel like everything I work towards is kind of independence and freedom. The same with recovery, because of my hyper focus on recovery and really getting into it, and also kind of documenting the whole progress. I've reached a huge freedom when it comes to food and exercise and body image as well. I mean, I'm not too happy with the way I look. I could look 1,000 times better, but I don't really care about it. Currently, I have weird acne, even though I'm 25 years old, which I'm not happy about, but also I don't care a lot about it. I also have a lot of cellulite just genetically, and I'm not too happy with, I don't know, like my teeth. I had a random gap again, and whatever. There's a lot of things that I am not happy with, like not that I don't adore, but at the same time I don't really care about it. It doesn't, I don't think about it. I think that's the main part. And it doesn't give me a bad feeling. So that's for me freedom, that I just have reached this kind of body neutrality state where, of course, I would like to be a little bit more this, be a little bit more that, but at the same time I'm super happy. And the same is with food. I just eat whatever. Currently my focus is again a little bit on what could be more or less cheap, and I also want to eat healthy, but also I eat still a lot of chocolate every day because I just like to. And when other people get so worried about their calories and protein intake, I'm just so happy that I don't have to do that anymore. And the same with exercise. I have stopped for a long time because of recovery to exercise, and now I've kind of went back into a routine where I go and do exercise like 2 to 3 times a week, which is insane. But I really, really enjoy it. I love it. I'm sitting at the desk the whole day, so I'm just kind of, my body is aching, is it the right word, for exercise. So I do it, and I really like it. And so I've kind of covered this part of my life. Also, I'm very happily in a relationship. I'm just, with a lot of things, I'm very happy at the moment. Also, like my finances are going good. I'm really like great, but I kind of, there's this thing in me that thinks, wow, if I could just have enough money to do whatever I want to do, like if I'm like 38 years old and I'm like, you know what, I want to go full-time artist, I could just do it. Or if I'm like 40 and I think, oh, you know what, I would like to go work maybe 2 times a week, but the rest of the time I would like to have chickens and a garden, then I can do it, you know what I mean? So that's kind of my current hyper focus, that I can build up enough investments so that kind of over time it grows into this money amount that is gonna be, yeah, just waiting for me to kind of enjoy my freedom. Yeah, I think other areas in my life that I kind of want to tackle are minimalism, because I do have a lot of stuff. Like, for example, this whole cupboard is just one of many that is full of random stuff that is more of a, not pressure, but it's more of like it's weighing me down more than it's lifting me up in a way. It's not that I look at this cupboard and I'm like, oh my god, that's so exciting. It's more like I look at it and I'm thinking, oh my god, there's so much random shit in there that is stressing me out, and I want to get rid of it, but at the same time I don't want to get rid of it because it still has like some emotional value or whatever. So kind of that is another thing, that I just want to get rid of a lot of things and just focus on what is actually, yeah, important to me. And yeah, that goes kind of hand in hand, this minimalism thingy, with saving. I just want to spend money on things that actually make me happy, and the rest should go into my investments and make me kind of happy in the way that I can just feel relieved and feel like, oh my god, I have this huge pillow that will just be there for me if I want to lay my head on it. So yeah, that is kind of my current hyper focus. And yeah, I want to do like some videos about, for example, because I watch a lot of personal finance stuff and they're all American creators, and there are Swiss creators, but I feel like the Swiss creators have their very Swiss hyper focuses. Like, for example, we have a very special retirement system in Switzerland, which is kind of the 3-column system, which I will go into, I think, in a video. I don't want to bore you to death. But yeah, it's like the state, your company, yourself, and you can kind of like improve it with each kind of column. You can add more value to your retirement life. And yeah, it's just very different from the American way, where it's a lot more self-responsibility. In Switzerland, it's super like, even if you don't really invest into your retirement, you're still well off, like more or less. But in the US, you just have to invest, otherwise you're a little bit fucked because it's just your responsibility to invest into your retirement. So yeah, I just find it very curious and very interesting, kind of what you can do with your life, because I always thought you can only like retire super early if you're like a crazy startup founder and then you sell it for like 6 million euros or whatever. But no, that's not the case. And so yeah, expect me to make like a little bit more content on living kind of frugally, but also not too frugally, because I still like to enjoy life, and yeah, and things like that. So that was a huge update from a 25-year-old that is kind of thinking about the big things in her life after kind of getting out of this whole studying bubble and entering workforce. At my work, I'm always a little bit the baby. There are young people in my company, but the area where I sit is the IT team. There are some young people there, and the sales team, and then of course my boss, marketing. And the sales people are all like between 40 and 60 years old, and I'm just there, and my boss is also over 40 years old. I'm just a little baby there, and they always make a little bit of jokes about me being like so young, and I wish I was at your place. But yeah, so I just want to kind of take in German you would say, I don't know how the word is, like the things where you can ride the horse, like, and I don't know. And then they say like take it into your own hands. I think there's similar saying probably in English. But yeah, I just wanna be like, I want to create my life and write my book. I don't wanna just, you know, not think about it. I wanna actually think about how I wanna create my life, because I have this huge privilege of being able to have so much information in the internet, and being just super lucky in general with having like a great apartment, having a great relationship, having great parents, and having a great job and everything. So yeah, I'm just super excited to kind of yeah, write my next chapters, or at least like think about what possibilities I have and where I could work towards. So yeah, that is my 5 cents for the day. And yeah, just if you have any questions, whether it's ED recovery or whatever, please ask them. I love answering your questions. And yeah, so I wish you a great day. Bye.